Welcome to Commander's Comments. I'm your producer, Harrison Daws, and allow me to introduce our Commander in Chief, Walter D. Donnie Kennedy.
Good afternoon, Moose. It is good to see you, and it's always good to see y'all. And I believe we have our new Chief of Heritage Operation on there. So let me just right quick introduce a few of you folks to our good people out there. One thing, let me tell you, we are wet as we can be here in Louisiana. We've had 3 days of soaking rain. So if I disappear or freeze up on you folks, it's not because I want to, it's because Mother Nature is working against us. Now, I don't know about what it looks like over in Mississippi, but hopefully y'all not having too much trouble over there. So let me introduce a couple of folks, people. This is Commander's Comment, by the way. And to get started with, I want to give a big shout out to past Commander-in-Chief Paul Gremlin, because 8 years ago, approximately 7 or 8 years ago, Paul and I started Commander's Comment when I was Chief of Heritage Operation, and Paul was the just elected Commander-in-Chief. Paul would drive from his house to my house, which is about an hour and a half, and then we drive another hour and a half over to Ray Shores, Victory Flags, and more. Did a great job helping us get our videos shot and edited and put on the internet. Ray was a great support, and we appreciate Ray. I really appreciate Commander Gremlin for getting this started. Commander Larry McClooney, he followed suit, and also Commander Jason Brochures. They all saw fit to continue Commander's Comment, and I want to thank all three gentlemen for doing so. They all have been a great asset to the SCV, and they're a great asset to all of us as we struggle to vindicate the cause for which our ancestors fought. Now, the distinguished looking debonair guy down in the bottom down on my screen, I don't know where he is on y'all's. This is our brand new Chief of Heritage Operation, Paul Graham, not to be confused with Paul Gremlin.
That's right. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get those names straight.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of G names on the GEC this year, if y'all notice that. So anyway, we're going to have to watch that. But this is Paul Graham. So, and Paul, if I call you Paul Gremlin, it's only because habit. I'm sorry. I want to tell you a little bit about Paul. He's a native of South Carolina. He resides in South Carolina, and that in itself bodes well for you, sir. Paul has had extensive media experience. He's been interviewed by CBS Nightly News, BBC, NPR, which I bet that was fun, NPR, and just a host of talk radio and podcast shows, interviews. So he has a good bit of background in that type of activity. Paul is also the contributing editor to numerous articles and journals. He contributed editor to Understanding the War Between the States and other pro-South books. One of the other book that he did was a book on which I was interested in because I'm a great fan of homeschooling. He did American History for Homeschooling. He was associate editor on that project also. But his latest book, now he has other books that he's written himself. He's somewhat like the Kennedys, except he's more of
I keep it short.
Intellect. He's an intellect. Ron and I are just rabble rousers now. And there are many people in the SCV that's going to agree with me on that, and I understand that. But his latest book, and I love this book that he just wrote, is called Nonsense on Stilts: The Gettysburg Address and Lincoln's Imaginary Nation. It was published this year. And Paul, just right quick, and don't go in a diatribe. I know how these.
I won't go in a diatribe. I promise. I know that. If anybody wants to know about it, they know we're good. Essentially, what I did was the idea came out of a paper, which usually most books do. They come out of a paper that turns out to be bigger than what it intended to be. And I go through each line of the Gettysburg Address and show that nothing that he says is based in fact or is historically accurate according to the primary documents. Now,
Wow.
everybody's got their mythology. I get it,
Right.
But in 1776, there was no nation born. It was a bunch of colonies loosely coordinated. This is before, the Articles of Confederation or our first Constitution. And I talk about how we went from how I go back to the Declaration as Lincoln used it, and then I tease out, what it says versus what he's saying it says, and several other things. It's a heavy subject, but I make it as light as I can. You should laugh through it in some places rather than cry. I mean, sometimes you might want to cry, but but if you build if the whole infrastructure is based on basically the Gettysburg Address, which is sort of a Nicene creed of what a good American is supposed to believe, we're in trouble because that's not the story. That's not what happened. Because real people did real things at certain times, and that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, good.
So check it out.
Well, I agree. Now, I'm assuming that's published by Shotwell Publishing.
Yeah, I had to twist Clyde's arm, Dr. Wilson's arm to do that, but once he saw the cover, he was okay.
Well, just to finish up on Paul's background here, Paul does hold his undergraduate baccalaureate degree and his postgraduate work, master's degree in philosophy at the University of South Carolina. And he is the co-founder, along with the eminent great historian, Dr. Clyde Wilson of Shotwell Publishing. And Shotwell is notorious because they are willing to publish things by the Kennedy twins. They haven't gone bankrupt yet because of it, so I hope they stay afloat for quite a while longer.
We're going to stay afloat, buddy. Don't worry about that.
Good. Well, thank you, Paul. Now, this other gentleman we have up in the corner, affectionately known as Moose, but actually it's Harrison Daws, and he introduced himself as he came on the program. But he didn't introduce himself by his official title. He is now chief. What is your title anyway? Oh yeah, you're chief of Heritage Promotions now, and he is Paul's number one assistant, and they will be working together in promoting things that will promote the South, that will get our name out in front of people. Now, Paul and I and Moose, we all agree. And Harrison, if you don't mind, I'm going to refer to you as Moose, if that's okay.
I think I get called that more.
You're the only person on here that's been shot at more often than anybody else. Because we have a shooting contest where we try to kill the moose every year, it seems like, at reunion. Okay, yeah, really.
I don't know how it happened.
Yeah, I don't know either, but it's a lot of fun.
It's probably your
and it'll probably continue because everybody's having too much fun at your own expense. So anyway, Harrison, Moose, we will continue to work together, all three of us, and I'm going to get into what all we're going to do with other heritage operation people of the division, because we need more communication. That's one of the things I want to talk about. Now, in the next few minutes, I want to just talk a little bit about some upcoming events, things that are coming up. I want to let people know what's coming up at headquarters and around the Confederation so that we can get some idea of how to make our schedules and plan our schedules. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is not this month, but it's about 9 months from now, and that's the 130th reunion of the Sons of Confederate Veterans to be held in, guess where? Houston, Texas. And the Texas boys, they are working hard to make it easier for us to register for that. Right now, all you have to do is go on the scv.org website. Go on that website and you'll see a big red emblem on there just to the right. And you might know somebody would call me while I'm on here. There. There. Okay. You'll see a big, there we go. It's second to the right, your big red thing, Sons of Confederate Veterans. Tap on that little old logo, that emblem there. There you go. Tap on that, and it'll open up to a tab that will allow you to register online. You can register for the convention online. You can also make hotel accommodations online just by tapping this source here. And you'll also be able to review a schedule of events, everything that's going on there, and the places that they're going, the tours and the events that they're having there. So by all means, they made it real easy. I want a shout out to Commander Michael Hurley and the Texas Division for all the work they're putting in for this. Anybody that's ever put a reunion on, they know it's difficult, but yet it's very rewarding. And you certainly have the appreciation of the SCV for doing that. So that's coming up next year. Now it's going to be in July of next year. So July the 17th and 20th. 2025. So put that on your calendar. Now, on September the 14th, coming up, and a week from this weekend, we have the Chaplains Conference at headquarters. Gary Carlisle and Dr. Tom Hyder have put together a Chaplains Conference there. This is something that we kind of let slip. I think during the COVID crisis and thereafter, but we'd like to have a conference where all the chaplains get together so we can take notes and really feel each other out, what works and what doesn't work. And it is a great event. It will be held this September the 14th at headquarters. You can go online, I believe, and find out about. They may have already filled up. I think their capacity was something like 60, 50, 60, 70 people. And I think they're getting close to filling up now. But by all means, make an effort to be there if you can. The museum will be open that day. So you go there. You can also be there, see the museum. Okay. Now, November the 2nd, I understand there is an author, John, I'm going to say Sperry, Sperry. I could let Moose try to pronounce that. It might be more fun, but me either. But he's going to kick off an author series where they'll do readings and question and answers, and that's going to be on November the 2nd. The museum will be open that day. Now, usually the museum is open from, say, 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in events like this. Now, here's an interesting thing I want everybody to mark on your calendar. We're going to be at a place called Beauvoir, November the 16th. The Confederate Legion is holding we're holding a conference to teach people how to act and how to get things going. We have got, do you have the new logo for the SCV?
Yes.
I mean, the Confederate Legion. There we go. If y'all remember, the other logo was not eye appealing. So we have changed the logo. It will soon be on our website. So we've got a new logo. It's much more appealing. And we also have a Confederate Legion handbook. Everybody that attends this event will get one of these free. It's a handbook, talks about the activity of the Confederate Legion, how it functions and the purpose of it, and how do we get our message out to John Q. Public. So by all means, that's free. And we will be, we've got a Confederate Legion newsletter coming out next week. Look on your email. It'll be sent by your email. So look in there and it will be coming out. And we will have more information about that event. And Paul, I believe you're going to be able to make that, are you not?
I am. Your brother is going to be my Uber for the weekend, and so I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Well, we're looking forward to
having you. Is lovely. It's a lovely place. If you haven't been there, you certainly go.
Yeah. Hey, you like to hear that, don't you, Moose?
Considering I'm the vice chairman of that board, that makes me very happy. Come down here and go to the gift shop.
Well, and I want to get back. both the pastors, or I call it the pastors conference, the conference is going to be held next week, the chaplains conference. This is something that we're trying to start going every year. Now, this year we're holding it in Columbia, Tennessee. I would like to see that conference held in the Army of Northern Virginia, let's say next go around. Let's move it around a little bit. The same thing is true with this training session, Confederate Legion training session. We're going to be moving that around. We're not going to wait a year, but we're going to start in Beauvoir. This is Army of Tennessee. We're going to try to go into the Army of Northern Virginia, and we'll also go into the Army of the Trans-Mississippi. And we will be contacting, number one, all the Heritage Ops people from each division and the commanders of the division, and saying, hey, we need your people here. Get you some people here. Let's talk about how we can work together and be efficient in battling the neo-Marxist enemy. And that's what this conference is all about. Okay, that's November the 16th. And like I say, we will have more information coming out on that. And remember, you get you sign up for it. We'll get you information on sign up. You get a free manual, Confederate Legion handbook manual. And hopefully we may, now this is, please do not hold me to this, folks, but we're in the process of talking to people and trying to get lapel pins for the Confederate Legion. And it will have the new Confederate Legion logo. So it will be like that for lapel pins. So, and if we have them, we will be selling them at cost. We're not trying to make money for this. So on this, we want you proudly wearing that lapel pin. Now, December the 6th and the 7th, folks, we will have the annual tour of homes in Elm Springs in Columbia, Tennessee. If y'all have never been to Columbia, Tennessee during this festival, this tour of homes, this is worth the trip up there. You will enjoy it. My wife and I attended, I believe it was last year and year before last, and it was wonderful. It was great. Elm Springs, one of the homes that's on the tour. So you can tour that one, or you can choose to go to another one. I chose to go to the Elm Springs and a couple of the others because I wanted to hear what those had to say about. I knew my history of it, but the gentleman that was doing the tours, he really enlightened me about a lot more about that. So by all means, if you get a chance, December the 7th, 8th, and again, the museum will be open, usually from 9 to 2 on those days. So that it will be open. So by all means, come along for that. All right, folks, that is, unless either one of y'all have another event that y'all know of that's a either major locally or nationally that we need to talk about. I hear nothing from anyone. So, all right, crickets. All right, folks, right quick. I just not probably 3 hours ago, I finally got but I did get a message from Ed Phillips, our lawyer who's been working with the Arlington effort. And he sent me really a summary of what's going on now. Basically, phase 1 of this struggle is basically over. The monument has been moved. Phase 2 is in process. Now, by phase 2, what we're doing is trying to keep that monument from being destroyed. Please understand, it was the original idea of the woke mob to take that monument down and do to it the same thing they did with the ones in Charlottesville and Richmond, and that is destroy it. Fortunately, we finally got enough pressure on those people that the monument is secure right now. It is gone from the appropriate location, but it has not been destroyed. And we have somewhat of an agreement with those people. Y'all know what I mean when I say those people. So we have an agreement with those people that that monument is secure and it will be delivered to the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia has guaranteed that it will be put up in a respectable and proper manner and be preserved and maintained for public view. Now, phase 2 of this project, and we're not through fighting the fight, but phase 2, we've got to keep pressure on the woke military commission to be sure that they follow through, that they don't somehow or another decide, but nobody's looking, we're going to destroy this monument, it's going to be gone. All right, we've got to keep pressure on them. And then once it gets restored in Virginia, we've got to keep pressure on that group of politicians to be sure that the monument is maintained and is open for public view. So that's phase 2. So the fight's not over. Phase 1 is over as far as the Sons of Confederate Veterans are concerned. Now, there are other single issue groups that are still fighting. But remember, folks, the SCV is not a single issue organization. We are a multi-issue organization. I just spent 2 days on the road in Paducah, Kentucky, fighting a fight up there. I've got to go to Liberty, Missouri. I've got places in Delaware. We have many issues that we have to struggle with. We're not a single issue group. There are some single issue groups out there that may still want to fight this fight in some way in phase 1. More power to them. And if you want to support them, that's your business. Have at it. But I'm concerned right now with fighting phase 2, which is to, number 1, make sure that monument is preserved. And number 2, make sure that monument is publicly displayed in a respectful manner. Now, phase 2 is not the end of it, folks. We got to go to phase 3. Originally, this is what those people, now I've debated and I've been in programs with these radical wokesters, neo-Marxists. What their objective was originally was to take the monument down, destroy the monument, exhume the Confederate soldiers in that place, and destroyed, what they say, just dump their bodies, just get rid of them. So that is what they want. And you think that is the level of hatred that those people have. Now, I'm not saying anybody on the military commission said that, but the people who are driving this effort, the radicals that I've debated and worked and talked against back and forth, that is what they told me point blank. And especially when Mississippi flag, when the wokesters in Mississippi, treasonous Republicans turned against us, the radical leftists, they told me, he said, hey, Mississippi hadn't begun to apologize for all it's done. Mississippi in the South, we will not be satisfied. And then they started listening. All the monuments are down and destroyed. All the old Confederate soldiers, especially the quote heroes, they're going to be exhumed and their bodies disposed of. Disposed. And that's what they told me, disposed of. So that is what they're after. So phase 3 is to be sure that our Confederate dead in Arlington are protected. Now, how can we be assured that they will be protected? We can't do it in a court system. You can forget it. The Confederacy has never won a battle in the federal system, but we can win in the court of public opinion. And we will deal with that after we go through our Pop-Tart break in a minute. Now, let me just read. I highlighted 2 things that Ed Phillips said, and I'm going to quote Ed. I hope he doesn't mind me quoting. I didn't ask permission, but since he sent it to me, I'm going to tell you what he said. He said, the Department of the Army, as we understand, has worked to ensure that, number 1, the memorial will be given to a state, and this is Virginia, and 2, that the memorial cannot be destroyed. And as we've all said, dealing with those people, you can't just turn around and say, oh, they said they're going to do that. We've got to keep pressure on them. And then his last statement, and I like Ed's last statement, he said, finally, the SCV does not agree with the position taken by those who view the Reconciliation Memorial in a negative light. As a result, we will continue to work with the UDC and others to ensure that the memorial will be publicly displayed so that all future descendants of our Confederate ancestors will know of their brave deeds, sacrifices, and heroism. Thank you. And that's in the quote. And thank you, Ed, for all you've done on that. And that is probably the end of phase 1, but always remember we're into phase 2 and ultimately phase 3. And phase 2 and phase 3, after the Pop-Tart break, we're going to talk about some of the ways in which we can work in the Sons of Confederate Veterans to protect that monument, but most important, to vindicate the cause for which they fought. Now, before we go to Pop-Tart break, Moose, I want to quickly go over communications. Now, no army has ever won a battle with poor communication. And I'm going to tell you, folks, if we don't have good communication, we will lose every time. Now, one of the primary ways of communication, and too often this is how we think, especially people of my generation, Paul's generation to my generation, Moose probably not so much, his generation, but we always think newspaper, magazines. If we wait for the Confederate veteran to come out to find out what's going on and what we need to do, we waited too late. It's gone. You know, the mule is out of the barn and we can't chase him down now. So we've got to have a better system. There is a good system called the SCV Telegraph. If you are not signed up to the Telegraph, or if you were and for some reason got kicked off, you need to get back on the Telegraph. And this is how you do it. You simply email to membership@scv.org. That's membership, membership @scv.org. Email at that address and say, please put me back, or please add me to the Telegraph. If you'll do that, you'll start getting, you'll get notifications from headquarters about events that are very important to the defense and promotion of Southern culture and Southern heritage. Now, now, by the way, you're not going to get your inbox filled with stuff every day. Usually the Telegraph, if you get something once a week, then we've got a lot going on. Usually it's 2, maybe 3 times a month you'll get something from the Telegraph. So your inbox is not going to be filled up with SCV stuff. We don't sell that list of people who are going to try to sell you gewgaws, flags, buttons, or whatever. That is not going to happen. If you find that's happening, you let us know, and we'll chase down the culprit who let that happen, and we'll get rid of that son of a gun. So that ain't going to happen. Not on my watch anyway. If it happens, they're going to get punished. So what we're going to do is about once or 2, maybe 3 times a month, we will be sending out information on constant contact, and it'll say, hey, with this project is going on, we need to get busy and active on doing this. And we're going to talk about this and after we do the Pop-Tart break as how effective or ineffective we've been in communications. Also, have somebody in your camp tell people about SCV chat and how to get on it. Moose, quickly, tell us, how does somebody who knows nothing, they have a computer and they may be on Facebook, or their wife or daughter or son's on Facebook, how can they listen to SCV chat and around the Confederation?
Well, there are 3 simple ways, Commander. You can go to our YouTube page, our Facebook, or our website, scvchat.com. All it requires is a search engine. Type in SCV chat, and our links will pop up for you. If you're having any trouble, you can always email us at scvyouth.outreach@gmail.com, and we're always happy to provide any type of assistance for any SCV member or someone trying to find our content.
Good. Now, is it possible you to put on the scroll down here where they can contact you in case they have trouble getting on or they need information? Because I watch it sometimes on YouTube. I have trouble a lot of times when I say, hey, look, I'm not going to tell you how old I am or I'm going to be, but I will tell you that old sucker down in South Louisiana, Ron Kennedy, come next week sometime, he's going to be 77 years old. So he has trouble finding stuff on the internet, and I do too. So, let us know the quick way to find out. A lot of times I'll just go to YouTube and put SCV chat search on YouTube, and it'll come up. So And one thing you need to watch for, you may see on YouTube, I believe you'll see stacked several issues. You need to look for the current or the live issue. Say if they want to watch it next Monday night, be sure you're on the live feed and not the feed that was posted from 2 weeks ago or something. And that is for, remember, SCV chat. It's for Around the Confederation, and it's also for Commander's Comment. So we're all together, thanks to Connor Bond and Moose. We are on this program, and we can talk to y'all, and we can answer your questions, and we can go and get our message out to our people. And that's what all this is about, communication. So that's what we're about. And Paul, I think if you got anything to say on communication, I wish you'd speak up, because I think that is a very important thing.
Yeah, the email lists are good, and of course we need a lot of participation on that. But I would say that, you know, the Confederate Legion and other things like that there's going to be subcategories of things. The Telegraph is broad, and it gets a little smaller with the Confederate Legion, but there may even be a need to go smaller. I mean, ideally, we would have, you know, a phone, the equivalent of a phone tree, in order to go all the way down from the top, or all the way up from the bottom.
Yeah.
But we were still thinking about how to accomplish such a thing. But email addresses obviously is what we need. It's the only way for us to stay in contact without being canceled on any of the platforms, which are apt to do so. For some reason, they like all the cultures in the world, but ours.
They don't like, but ours. You're right. All right, Moose, if you will take us to a Pop-Tart break, we'll come back and talk about some of the activities we can do in the SCV to vindicate the cause and to protect our Confederate soldiers in Arlington, as well the dead in Arlington from being exhumed and removed, as well as defending our rights as Southerners.
Yes, sir. And I just want to remind everybody that the commercial break is sponsored by the SCV Chat Patreon, going the extra step to help sure we stay on the air, and Creative Cockades, who provide historically accurate cockades at a reasonable price. For the people wanting any of the SCV Chat links, the SCV Chat website will be posted in the chat, and it is a quick link to get everything you need to know about SCV Chat. We will be right back after this quick Pop-Tart break.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Boy, I like that. I tell you, that
Very well
is
done.
absolutely what I'm hoping beyond hope that we can use that material and work us up a 1 minute ad, because that's a 2 minute ad. And right now it's being shown on a lot of Rick Rebel's History Highway on Roku. He's on Amazon Prime, I believe, or Amazon Fire, I believe, and different stations that his program's on. So a lot of people are seeing that, have never heard of the SCV. We need to get that message out even more so. Right quick, Paul, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. I want to ask you a question here, because I was very interested. And if y'all have not read Paul's Forward the Colors, his first article that he wrote as Chief of Heritage Operation, I really encourage you to do so. But in your article, Paul, you said something that you urge our members to, quote, find our niche and go for it, end quote. Do you have an example of how SCV camps or SC members can do this? Do you have some idea? You can kind of enlighten us a little bit.
Well, I could tell you, I could tell, well, what my skill set that I had after the 2015 incident in Columbia, South Carolina, is that I was thinking about wanting to publish short, hard-hitting books that would not be expensive, would be, would get good information out there. So, I mean, that's my skill set. There are lots of people that have other skill sets, anywhere from, there's artists, graphic artists, people that know how to do videos, people that know, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we're going to have to do is going to be online based. So we need proficient technicians for advertisement and messages. But, there's a lot of camps that have little shops at the swap meet or whatever, the flea markets. We sell to some of the camps, obviously, at way below, because it's not about the money. Everybody has something that they do, and everybody has a place that they feel comfortable. I guess I'm not explaining myself very well.
No, but you're doing fine, because as you say,
I think if you don't know what your niche is, then you need to find it, because you're good at something, and you may not think that you're good at something, but neither did I. Neither did I. The only reason that I made it on here, like I said in the article, is because I went down there. I had the bejesus scared out of me. I was fortunate enough to have a supportive spouse that sent me back out there, because it's very, very easy to be afraid that you're going to lose your friends or your job or some such. But I found the opposite to be true, even in the case of people I work with, because obviously I was down there for a week. I was on every channel that you could think of, right? So it was no secret when I went back to my job at that time, where I had been. And even the first few calls, I was teaching philosophy at a local community college at the time. That was my side hustle before Shotwell came along. And I got calls from my students immediately after I got off I had like one that was live. Otherwise, they cut you all up and there's not much to do. But calling me and congratulating me, and I'm not talking about just the white kids, and all of them called me. Some of them invited me to go down to see the flag go down. I said I didn't want to see it. They understood that. I found peace. I found peace because I knew I wasn't saying anything wrong. I found peace because I knew that what I was saying was true, and I knew that it was not right to conflate a murder with the ongoing flag battle. It couldn't have happened without that, and they used it in a very well, in a very effective way, by stoking race relations.
Right.
And I had been to a lot of flag rallies over the years down at the State House. And this was, I thought it would be, more the same, but it turned out to be a lot more than that, because it became not just local, which is what it started being. It became national and then international. And of course, that's, why I had to do these interviews. But it's not my fault that they're wrong. That's not my
You're right.
That's not my fault. It's not my fault that the records that I read, and I've been doing this for about 20 years, I did not start out, I was not I was not Southern woke until I was in my 30s. When I learned about the burning of Columbia, and I attended the HL only funeral ceremony and a couple other things, said, look, there's something really good about this. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find out. And I found nothing. I found nothing in the last 20 years that I've been doing research that would lead me to believe anything other than the cause was correct, constitutionally correct, morally correct. And, we've got to deal, unfortunately, because we can't get around it because people are obsessed with it. Since slavery no longer exists, I don't know why it's an issue, just like Jim Crow doesn't exist. I don't know why that's an issue. But we do have some of that. But I can tell you from experience that newscasters do not know anything about our history. They do not know any facts. They don't know anything. And what they were expected was some hayseed to show up, dumb as a bag of hammers, and start talking about my heritage. That's what they wanted. Yeah. That's not what they got. It's not what they got at all. And so I would say the best way to be an effective ambassador for our Confederate inheritance is to know it.
Yeah,
you got to know it. And there's lots of ways to do it. And but the more you know, the better off you are. I mean, I've been on interviews with the head of an African American studies teacher and an NAACP guy at one time on a daytime sort of talk show, and they agreed with every factual thing that I put with it. They just interpreted it wrong because they're working from a premise, and this is the philosophy premise, right? Yeah. They're working off of a false premise, and when you work off of a false premise, everything that comes out of it is also false because it's based on an erroneous assumption. And And in my work, the erroneous assumption is what I wrote in Nonsense on Stilts, which is that that the people never agreed to a national or centralized form of government ever. They never agreed to the sort of system that we labor under at this moment. There's never been a time that the people ratified anything that even remotely looks like what we have today. And to pretend like it's somehow hooked to the revolution is silly. And to pretend like the Constitution is any of it's being followed is foolishness. I don't think I've ever seen a constitutional law passed.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I want to thank.
Long and short of it is,
I want to thank you for what I want to thank you for all you're doing, because what you've done in the past is just emblematic of what we're going to expect you to do in the future. So how about that? But one of the things I want to talk, and you've hit the nail on the head, because I want to talk about proactive efforts, what we can do that's proactive. Now, there's a lot that we can do right now, and we are doing, and we can do more. But once we absolutely get this banknote taken care of that we're trying to take care of, we can go really, really full bore, wide open. But it's the old adage, you got to get there firstest with the mostest. Well, we're the firstest, but we don't have the mostest yet, but we can do that. One of the things that I want to do is to see that banknote liquidated, and to reestablish Forest Plaza, and to put our message before the American people in general and Southerners in particular, that there's no reason to be ashamed, like Paul has indicated, of your Southern heritage. And one of the ways we can do this is with the 21st Century Confederate Heroes. A certain portion of that monies that you donate to this 21st Century Confederate Heroes is going toward reestablishing the Forest Plaza. So that's going to be something that's going to change a lot of people's way of thinking. Number one, they take them down, but look at us, we're putting them back up. Once we get that banknote taken care of, that $10,000 to $12,000 a month that's going to service that note can go to, number one, to building this organization, to a major PR effort to let the world know why the South was right. We've got to think out of the box. We haven't done this lately in the past. And one of the things I want to do, and this is one of my projects that I want to do, is to get a group, a mail and emailing list, and I'm working on this now, of all the Heritage Ops leaders in every division and all the brigade commanders in each division, and put them on an email list that I can be in touch with them. I've got their phone numbers. I can call them. So when we have something like this, somebody wanting to disinter our Confederate ancestors in Arlington or anywhere else, we can notify our members and get out there and get busy. One of the most disheartening thing in this Arlington fight in phase 1 was when we would send out an email asking our members to contact their senators and representatives. We'd get a few hundred and then maybe 1,000 or two. We needed 1,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 emails going to those Southern senators and congressmen. Now, here's the problem. Oh, Lord. When that bill came by to get rid of the monument that could have defunded the commission that was taking that monument down, I would say 3 to 5% of Southern senators and representatives only spoke out against it. That meant that 97% of your Southern representatives and congressmen, they either said nothing, and unfortunately up to 15 to 20% of them voted with the woke majority.
I wonder who they representing if they're not representing their districts and states. I'm baffled.
Yeah, really. And the problem is they think that, well, they're like any other politicians. Whichever way the wind's blowing, that's the way they're going. The wind is blowing from the left. We've got to increase our footprint out there. And that's one of the things why I want to communicate with Heritage Ops people. The CIC will be talking to the Division Heritage Ops. The CIC will be talking to brigade commanders. We'll do it either by email or by phone call. And especially when we have a major event that requires maximum output, I'll be talking to the guy in Moose, in your brigade commander. I say, look, we see here, according to our constant contact, only 3 people in your brigade have contacted the senator or congressman. What's going on? You need to kick some butt. You need to get busy. You need to tell them how important this is. So that's what we're definitely going to do that. Now, another thing that I really, really want to do is to be able, when this Forest Plaza goes up, we're not just going to brag about the Forest Plaza. We're going to talk about the flag parks and the monuments that we have now that have been reestablished and that have been put up by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. I think, Moose, we've got some photographs of some of those flag parks, do we not?
Yes, sir.
All right. Sorry to wake you up, but
no, sir.
I've always thought that those people were not worthy to take care of them in the first place. So it's good that we're getting them back.
Yeah, really. Right here, this is a park, and that's past Commander Paul Grambling. This is in Paducah, Kentucky. That's a flag park there. It's right on a major interstate. If you back up to that previous photo you had with that Confederate battle flag, yes, that is a major pole there and a major Confederate battle flag in Paducah, Kentucky on Interstate 24. Thousands of people see that. This is something that they put up. There's others. We were in past Commander Grambling and I were coming back from Paducah, and we went by a park in Tennessee. It was and this is here we go in Tennessee. Now notice this. That's a big flagpole, again, a major flag. They have every Confederate state flag around this park here, including the real official Georgia and Mississippi state flags. So they got the real flags there, and they have a big pole. I would say that's at least an 80-foot pole of a very large Confederate flag. They have, if you'll notice the Confederate statue there, they have the charge, SCV charge there. And it's run by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. The local camp in Union City, Tennessee does this. Commander Grambling was looking at a pavilion there. They had a book there that you could sign if you come up there and visit this. And we were noticing that people, not only from the South, but many people from the North coming by. It's on it's a 4-lane highway, US Highway 51. It's a major thoroughfare there. And it can be seen from the highway. And they'd come by there and they signed the booklet. And we looked through, Paul and I looked through it, and just about 2 or 3 people every week are signing that booklet. And they're from the North and the South, but more of them from the North. And they all say, great, lovely display. We love it. We never saw one adverse remark there.
No.
But this, and then we've got other monuments all across the South. We've got flag parks. We need to catalog all these things. Now, this is something that I will be getting in touch again through the Army commanders and councilmen. I want every division to give us a census of number one, the new monuments that they put up, the old monuments that they've saved from destruction and have relocated them in a better location, and all the giant flags that they put up, and all the flag parks that they put up. Now, this tells us, when we get all this information, when we send out our news release, our press release, and when we let everybody in the world know about reestablishing and rebuilding the Forest Plaza, we're going to tell that story. It's not just the Forest Plaza. All around the South, we have new monuments going up. They take them down. For every one they've taken down and destroyed, we've saved and put up 10 times that number. Now, they've only destroyed a small handful. They would like to destroy all of them. A classic example is the beautiful monument we had in Caddo Parish in Shreveport. And I think we've got a picture of that. Here we go. There's past Commander Paul Grambling and past Commander Chuck McMichael there. This beautiful monument here, they wanted it destroyed, but guess what? The Sons of Confederate Veterans, the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and local people got together, went to court, started fighting, and we had the city, the parish, as you would say, counties in Mississippi, but we had the parish force the parish's hand to relocate this monument. It's relocated on a original battlefield of Pleasant Hill, Louisiana. It will be seen by hundreds of people, and it'll be seen by people who appreciate it. The area that it was in when they was wanting to remove it is a seedy part of town. People sit around, shoot up drugs there. Well, now guess what? Thanks to the wallet of the police jury, they had to pay to have that removed because some crack addict was offended that Confederate monument was bothering him from shooting up drugs, I reckon. So they had to have it removed, and we said, okay, we'll remove it, but you gonna pay the cost. And they paid the cost, and we reestablished that. So I want to be able, and if I can get, and I'm gonna be in contact with camp commanders, if we can convince 300 to 400 SCV camps to join the 21st Century Confederate Heroes, we will have enough money to reestablish that Forest Plaza, as well as virtually pay off the bulk of that banknote. Now, when we have enough money, we're already right now, we're probably at 2/3 what we need to rebuild that monument plaza. Once we do that, once we get 300 or 400 SCV camps more than we already got to go ahead and join in this effort, we can reestablish that monument, and we can have a nationally blitz and let the world know they take them down, we put them up. We're the real defender of American history and Southern history. That's what I'm about. Now, enough said about that. I'm beginning to run low on time, so I'm going to kind of move on to one other thing that we will be doing shortly. Moose, do you have the photo of the Georgia flyer? Yes. If you'll look and see, Georgia, I received this from Georgia just the other day. It said only 65 days before the most important election days in our lifetime. And the Georgia division is encouraging people to please register to vote and get out and vote. Now, what Georgia is doing needs to be replicated at the national level and at the division level. This does not adversely impact our tax exempt status. All they're doing is saying register to vote and vote. As long as you don't tell them to register and vote for ABC or not to vote for ABC or any individual candidate, you can do that. And this gets people out to vote and gets our people motivated. But the most important thing is the elected politicians, that congressman that used to vote with the woke people in Washington, D.C., he's going to see this. He's going to say, oh, my gosh, those SCV people, those sons of those Confederates are getting angry. They're registering people to vote. Wow, they might vote against me if I keep voting against their monuments. That's how you get results. And this is Georgia. I commend Georgia, Tim Pilgrim, and all the Georgia folks for doing this. Now, we at the national level, I am getting right now, Forrest Daws is going to do us a 30-second ad to encourage people to vote. Now, you can see this ad. I wrote it in my last article in the Confederate Veteran. But with the ad simply states, quote, the Sons of Confederate Veterans encourages all Americans to be a real American patriot and vote in the upcoming election. Our republic depends on your participation. The Sons of Confederate Veterans, America's oldest continuously operating veterans organization, is asking you to be a real patriot. That's the end of it right there. This is an SCV ad that'll be 30 seconds. And notice it does two things. It tells the general public that we are a veterans organization. We're the oldest continuously existing veterans organization, and we are patriotic. We're asking people to vote. We're not telling them to vote for this candidate or that candidate. We're not telling them this party is good, that party is bad. That would go against our 501(c)(3) tax exempt status. We're fully within our rights to encourage civic responsibility by voting. So this is what we're going to do. Now, listen, this is a 30-second ad, and the national will be running these in as many radio stations we can, but we're going to be asking every camp to do the same thing. Go to your local radio station and run these ads. Buy $100 worth. They're 30 seconds. You can probably get them very cheap. So run these ads. the politician, the political establishment, the people who have been stabbing us in the back over and over and over, they will hear this and they will be put on notice that these Confederate types, they're getting mad, they're getting organized, and we don't want them coming after us next. So that's how you win in the market of public opinion, the court of public opinion. We can be victorious, but we've got to do something like this, and we've got to do it. Now, Moose, I'm going to ask you right quick. Is it possible? I don't put you on the spot. I hate to do this, but is it possible when Dad gets this ad done that we could do a video and blend that video with this ad so that we can put it on social media?
Well, Commander, that's one of my specialties. I'll make sure to have it out and ready for everybody.
Now,
I tell you, if the camps are, it would be very, very effective and very impressive if we could get the camps, social media presence or their website or whatever it is they do, and the members to put it out on the same day.
Oh boy,
everywhere.
Yes. Yeah, we need to blast that.
And they would keep running it. That's fine, but it would be nice
Absolutely.
to see. It'd be nice to see, like, some hashtag going, Dixie Rising or something.
Yeah, or they do that. I like that.
Well, hashtag Southern Without Apology. I don't know, whatever we come up with, but.
Well, let me ask you this, Paul. I'm a Facebook guy. I have an X account, but I don't know how to use it, quite honestly. Are you or Moose, are y'all familiar with those accounts that you can work with us to get something like that on that type of media outlet? Because I'm not. I
don't use it as much as I use Facebook. I don't seem to get enough traction.
Yeah.
But it's a good platform. And now that it's under different management, it's also a more friendly, well, except for the flamers, but it's a more friendly and not quite so scary. There you go. I've had lots of ads blocked on Facebook, but I've never had anything blocked on X.
Well, and X is getting bigger and bigger all the time. I think
we should try to hit all of them, and there's a lot of them. But we should have a presence on X and a couple other places, and when it's time to put the video out, we'll put it out, and I can promise you, people will share it. I mean, there's people on Facebook right now that, like, for instance, when I announced your brother's book. I had a couple people who I knew had very big groups, and I got them to, put it out to their people, so that they would know that there's another Kennedy book out. This is on Reconstruction, which is a very timely topic, not only because we're in the sesquicentennial of it, but because we are in it. We're in it. Phase whatever. I lost count of the phases. But I think that they just don't understand that this is not a political issue. It's a personal issue, and it has to do with our families. The word son means something. It means that these are our people, our fathers, and the people that lived through the aftermath. Well, nobody really knew. My grandma said they didn't know there was a depression down here. It was just more of the same sharecropping going on.
You're right. Absolutely. That was common across
down here anyway. Yeah. So I don't think they understand. And also, people instinctively feel something when their family's being insulted. I would say especially in the South. Yeah, now, I don't know about other places, but I could tell you this: when I send emails, I got a list of several thousands that I send out whenever something new comes out, and my top openers are in California, Massachusetts, and think the third one. Anyway, New York.
New York.
Those people open our emails more than
Good.
anyone else, and we
Good.
get more letters from people from there
Yeah.
than anywhere else, because the whole world sees that it's not right. They didn't
Good.
agree with it in 2015. They don't agree with it now, and my God, are you going to dig up somebody's great grandfather? And
That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do.
What kind of people are we dealing with here?
Well, you're dealing with heathens. That's what you're dealing with.
I mean, maybe I'm superstitious, but I don't think you ought to be messing with people's graves. I mean, they were prayed over and consecrated, when they were put there. It's not like they're just
thrown out in the ground. All right, folks, I'd like to keep this going, but I see we're about 3 or 4 minutes over by my clock, and I've really, really enjoyed this. And Paul, I appreciate you. Number one, I appreciate you volunteering to help, and I appreciate you the work you're doing and the work that you're continuing doing. Moose, I can't say enough praise about you and Connor both. That y'all have really forged ahead in this platform here that has given us a voice out into a world that we would not have been in. We've got to think outside the box, and folks, that's what we're doing. That's what, when you elected me, you elected somebody that's a little bit radical. So I'm going to be thinking out of the box, and I'm going to be putting out of the box. Yeah. And listen, on next Commander's Comment, we will continue a little bit on this theme of getting out the vote and that sort of thing. But we're also going to talk about, and I'm hoping, I haven't told him yet, but I'm going to try to get our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin, on here so he can tell us a little bit about some billboards that they've done in Virginia. So, Tony, if you're watching, I'm sorry I didn't have time today to call you and let you know, but you're up next month, son. We're going to talk with you also. So anyway, we'll have Tony. Hopefully, if Tony can arrange his schedule, we'll have our Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Tony Griffin from Virginia, on to help us. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I've just about exhausted our time. I haven't exhausted what I could say because I am a Kennedy. And as you can tell by all these books back here, those are not decorations. I've read them all. And unfortunately, the older I get, I can't remember if I read them all, and I go back and reread them. And Paul, I don't know if you do this, you'll start reading.
They're better the second time around because you have more context from the other books.
A lot of times I'll start rereading, and all of a sudden I run across some little notes in the margin. I say, "Who wrote my book?" And I look and say, "Oh, hell, that was me." So that's good. All right, folks, Moose, you'll get there one day, son. Folks, I'm going to throw it back to Moose and our Chief of Heritage Promotion, Moose, and we appreciate you. And ladies and gentlemen, sons of the Confederate veterans, friends of the South, daughters, sons and daughters, God bless you all. God save the South. We can do this. We do not have to be a defeated people forever. God bless you, and God save the South. Thank you, Moose.
Amen, Commander. Thank you all for watching. Please make sure to share this out with your brigades, camps, divisions. Heck, if you know someone from another army, send it to them. Let's make sure this Commander's Comments episode gets out for our membership, and let us grow and get better, gentlemen. Good night.
Good night.